In this today's episode, I'll be discussing a very important concept. And this concept actually will make and or break where you reach in life. This is like of critical importance. I have actually dedicated a full section in my book Fire in the Belly on this. So what is the concept that we are going to talk about today? We are going to talk about handling failure. Failure matlab, I've seen sometimes there will be people who will telling you, will say कि अरे ये जीता है ये हारा है, and I want to differ. I want to differ and say कि ऐसा कुछ हारा या जीता है ही नहीं. Either you win or you learn. या तो हम जीतते हैं या हम सीखते हैं, दो ही बातें. मैंने क्या सीखा कि there are 5 steps to be done if you want to learn how to handle failure. And why you need to learn them? Because it is inevitable to fail. ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता कि आप हर बार जीतें, ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता. So there has to be a point, there has to be an average जहां पे आप कभी जीतोगे कभी आप हारोगे. ठीक है? So do you understand? So you cannot win all the time. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose, and we have to learn how to handle failure. That is critical to understand so that you reach where you are destined to reach. So what I have done is I have kind of introspected and seen what I do when I fail. And surprise, even I fail, everybody fails at time. So when we fail, what do I do? So what is the step number 1 that you should do when you fail? Step number 1 is please acknowledge your mistakes. You understand? What is happening is sometimes when we fail, we say, मैंने तो कुछ गलत ही नहीं किया. No, that is a very negative thing to do. First thing to do is acknowledge mistakes. Write down on a piece of paper what did I do wrong that I failed. You understand? Acknowledge your mistakes. That is the first thing to be done. Once you do that, half of the battle is already won. Then once I have acknowledged my mistakes, then the second step that I do is to evaluate the current situation now. That means if you have failed in a venture or you have failed in an exam or failed in something, now is the time to evaluate the current situation. What are my opportunities now? What should I do in the remaining time? Evaluate the current situation. Like for example, if you did not do well in a recent exam, when is the next exam now? What is my next opportunity coming up? Evaluate the situation. See the time left. Acknowledge your mistakes. Find out the opportunity, what I can do. Find out a way. So step number 2 is evaluate the current situation now and find out the best way forward. And the third is very critical. Once you have once you lose, sometimes although we all want to have insight into our weaknesses, sometimes we don't have the insight. कई बार हमें पता ही नहीं कि हम क्यों हारे. Then what to do? We have to talk to people and seek help. That is very critical, and I've seen many people don't do this. And what happens is very critical, very important to understand. I have seen कुछ लोगों से सीखने की जगह very critical sympathy ढूंढना शुरू कर देते हैं. You understand? Instead of finding out people who will help me come out of this situation, I start seeking sugar coated people जो मुझे शुगरी बातें बोल के मेरा टाइम में मुझे अच्छा लगेगा उस समय, लेकिन मैं जीतूंगा नहीं बाद में. I have to find out people that I trust who are going to help me here. You understand? Their words sometimes might be a bitter. You know, you can talk to parents, teachers. They are always well-wishers or some very good friends. But when you start crying to each and everybody, anybody you meet, you start crying. They will say some sugary word, make you feel good, but you will not win. You understand my point? So seek help, but seek it from people whom you trust. That advice might be sometimes bitter. You understand my point? It may not always be a sugary thing that you want to hear. Don't seek people to, seek pity. Don't do that. That is very wrong thing to do. Try and seek constructive advice from people you trust. That is step number 3. Okay? And the step number 4 is use every failure as a learning exercise. And all great people have failed. You understand? Thomas Edison was rejected from school. You understand? When he was in school, his teacher said that he cannot do good work. You imagine, teacher could not evaluate Thomas Edison. You understand? Walt Disney was rejected by many people that he could not make cartoons. You understand? Walt Disney, he made Mickey Mouse and people said he could not. Every great man, har mahan aadmi hara hai kabhi na kabhi. You understand my point? So what I want you to know today is that you have to accept it, and then you have to learn from your mistakes. You have to learn. That is the difference between highly successful people and moderately successful people. Everybody fails, but highly successful people, they learn from their mistakes and they do not repeat their mistakes. They learn from failures. Every failure will teach you much more than a success can ever teach you. You have to sometimes fail. Everybody fails, but some people learn from their failure. So step number 4 is make sure you take that learning from that episode. And the final step is, okay, that's very critical, move forward. You understand? You cannot spend your life, just cribbing that I lost. You have to move on. Life has to move on. Even after you lose, you have to move forwards. That is the final step. So if I summarize, today I want to actually tell you my 5 steps of handling failure. Number 1, acknowledge your mistakes. Number 2, evaluate the current situation. Number 3, talk to people you trust. Learn from failures. And number 5, move on. You have to move on. Life has to move on, and that is the beauty of life. Success and failures, they oscillate. Not everybody will lose always, not everybody will win always. So you have to know, once you move on, life moves on, time will heal things, and the circle will repeat, and you will win. You understand? That is my mantra for the day. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do enjoy this video, please write back to me in the comments or inbox me on Facebook or Twitter. And if you enjoy reading my book, Fire in the Belly, do write back to me. Thank you. I wish you all the best.